What's up, guys? Welcome back, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Chasing Upstairs with the wonderful Alexa Ramos to my left, and I am Donna Conrad. Alexa, how are we feeling today? How's the week going?
Girlfriend, what's up? Welcome back. We're feeling good. A lot of news happening for us throughout this week. Trying to think. It's been a busy one. February's midway through. I feel like January went like that, which is kind of good because I'm looking forward to this warm weather. We had our first snowstorm this past couple of weeks since we've been back. That was brutal. Yeah, we've been good. The last time we were here, we spoke to our girl Liz Ben, who really was not only a rock star guest and a great first podcast, but we got a lot of really great feedback from the people that watched. And I think something that really excited me was that so many people said, like, I had no idea that position existed. Like, I didn't know her department was a thing. I didn't know that there were people that got involved in those events. This is something that I want to do, or something I know somebody wants to do, someone I know wants to do. So, that was like a really cool start to all of this, and that kind of made my week happy. How about you, girlfriend? What's shaking?
Same old, but I agree. I think it was super cool to get like some positive feedback. I think the cool thing is that a lot of people kind of like the premise of what we're doing, and I think that they're gonna love our next episode that you're about to listen to as well. But we're just waiting for it to get warm, waiting for baseball to start. We're kind of in the home stretch. Yeah.
And catchers, baby. Part of my job is getting those links and those videos from the teams, and then I send them over to my girl Donna in media management, who ingests them into our program Diamond and makes sure they get on MLB Tonight and all of our MLB shows. So that's exciting. That's a sign baseball's back. We are happy, but I think that we should start introducing our next guest coming up.
Yeah, so for today's episode, we have another awesome guest joining the show, Vin Paolella. Vince has been in the world of sports media for quite a few years now, which we'll be diving into, as well as some new endeavors he's taken on in the last year. He is a freelance videographer who's worked for Yes Network, ESPN, MLB.com, and Fox Sports. And about a year ago, he started his own production company, Paolella Productions, which is geared to create promotional videos and content for small businesses and individuals. So he's had the chance to work on some really cool projects that we're really excited for you guys to hear that we talked about with him. We had a lot of fun. He is a great time. So without further ado, enjoy the podcast and please welcome Vin Paolella.
Hey everyone, welcome in. We are so excited for our guest of the evening, the fabulous, wonderful, very multi-talented Vin Paolella is joining us tonight. And Don, I'm pretty excited about this one. Can you tell us a little bit more about Vin?
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we're both pretty excited because Vin has a lot to offer when it comes to the sports media world, and I'm sure with all of his experiences he's had so far, even though he's not old, so I think you guys will be surprised at how much he's already done in his career, and hopefully we'll get to hear some fun stories. Vin is a freelance videographer, and Vin, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I'm excited for this. I'm glad to see what you guys are doing with this podcast, and can't wait to see where it goes.
Thank you. So, Alexa, where do you want to start?
I think we gotta just dive in from the start. Right now, Vin, we'll give everyone a little background here in terms of what you're doing present day. You're involved, you've had experiences with a bunch of different networks, a bunch of different outlets, not just sports, and we'll tap into that in a second. You this year started your own first ever production company, ran by you, created by you, your content, your vision, which I'm very excited to talk about. And I also have some personal experience with Vin's work and what I've seen him, what he's been able to create, which is incredible. So that's really exciting. And you're doing this all at 26, 27 years old, right in the mix. And I think it's a lot of times people think, you know, young 20-year-olds or mid 20-year-olds, oh, they don't know, they don't have the experience, but this is how it starts. This is how it happens.
Mhm.
And I think it's just so great that you dove right in. But before we get into that, I want you to take us back, maybe your end of high school, early college days, and tell us a little bit about where you went to school and how your career kind of kickstarted.
So going into college, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in sports. I think like most people, like, oh, I want to be a sports broadcaster, an anchor, someone of that sort. So I actually went to Seton Hall University uh, because of their WSOU, their radio station. They had, you were able to get on air pretty quickly, especially with sports. So that's what drove me there. But then soon while I was there, I kind of got more into the TV end, started a Hall Talk show, which it was about Seton Hall sports, and kind of took off from there and kind of got me in the whole, video production and sports TV production.
Now, it's funny you say that because I feel like me and Alexa have very similar uh, encounters in college with campus TV, campus radio. Um, what would you say made you maybe change directions after working on air on shows like Hall Talk?
But you know what? I think it was just more, I just enjoyed the TV aspect more. I mean, radio was great and I got to call games, do play by play. But then doing the TV, it was just something more, you can get a little bit more creative, I felt, visually too, which is where I kind of found a real knack for that. And then even when I was on doing, anchoring and, speaking on Hall Talk, I quickly found that I was transitioning again from in front of camera to behind the camera. So that kind of, once that transition happened, kind of opened up a bunch of other doors and other ideas and possibilities.
Did you have any specific professors that kind of helped direct you towards this behind the scene path?
Yes. So actually, one of them, Alvin Wiki. He was
Ricky!
he's a tech
Great.
engineer, tech manager, if you want to call him, at Seton Hall. He helped, run the studio there, and he kind of got me to where, into the door. Yet he worked for Yes Network. He does a couple different jobs there, and in their trucks for game days. I should be specific about that. And they needed runners, which is kind of, an entry level position. You don't need too much experience in TV or anything to get it. But
Yep.
he actually got me a job there doing that, and it all started pretty much there. But like you said, it's not only are they adjunct professors, so they have jobs still, it's also the location we're in. I mean, being
Right.
right in New York and, near Philly,
Right.
Connecticut, all these, key places where there's so many networks and there's so much opportunity.
Now, it's so funny you say that because that's a great segue into one of the questions I had for the both of you, which was you were both runners at Yes Network at the same time.
Mhm.
So both of you, I guess, can speak on what your experience was like, but you guys might have to duke it out a little bit. Who was the better runner?
Oh,
There was
I mean,
whoa, there's a
whoa,
whoa from
Dons. The fact we have to ask, I mean, oh,
well, let's be honest. We both, Alexa kind of got her in with, certain crowds at the network, the certain personnel. So, but
listen,
it was honestly, it was a great time, especially knowing, a few people that work there, and I mean, now
Yeah.
look, we've known each other that was actually, you think about it, like almost 5 years ago.
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Long since
Oh
we
my
actually
goodness.
started it. 'Cause I started the end of my junior year, which is 2015,
Yep.
and then 2016 I worked a full season there, and that's when we pretty much had most of our jobs together. But it's crazy that it was that long ago.
It's wild. And I think a really good point to bring up, which Vin, the best part is, the moral of the story is look at us now.
Mhm.
And the crazy part is we didn't know each other prior to that experience. And it just goes to show how important, and I talked about this a lot in our last podcast. It's just something that I like to stress a lot because I
Mhm.
just think it's undervalued. I think networking and just being kind to people and building relationships is so undervalued. When people ask me, how did you get to be where you are? Like it's a huge part of it. Like, yeah, you have to be smart and diligent and hardworking and everything else, but people really underestimate how being kind to someone and just building a friendship and a trust there networks you further. Well, it's just crazy how the worlds have grown and collided. Like it is just, it's wild. And we were all so young and doing this together. And it's crazy to also think about, we were runners, which if people that are watching don't know, a runner is also known as a production assistant. What they do is they work behind the scenes, a lot of the little odd jobs that you don't even think about, like from getting water for the crew or filling up the candy snacks to running and getting stats packs and making sure things are correct for our talent on air, our researchers on air. Vin, we could go into this too, but just uh, helping utility crews set up stages or props or cameras, or making sure that when we're there in the locker room for the pre and post games, we're the people that are standing next to the cameraman and the reporter doing their job, running that tape or a card, they could call it, back to the control room, making sure that's ingested immediately to be flipped on air within 5 minutes. It's you don't think about it, but it's our responsibility that within those 2 minutes we are sprinting from Yankee Stadium field all the way back to like the back of the stadium to make sure that gets on Yes Network within 5 minutes. So, it's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of pressure at, a young age, Vin. We were what, 20,
Yeah,
21 doing that?
I think it was also just, you're around, I mean, it's Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Uh, for those who've ever worked there, the security's very tight. And you have to be, but also, you're around professional athletes, you're around their families, you're around,
Yeah.
they're professional people in the business, that you've known your whole life. Like, seeing some of these, reporters and anchors, and then sitting next to them or standing next to them, it can be a little shell shocking too for if you're young. But we all actually held ourselves pretty well. But Alexa, to that list of people you were mentioning, can't forget about George, who is also
Oh,
sports
yes.
anchor now. Uh, he's been on a couple different stations. I think he's in
Yes.
right now, so he's been doing great himself. Uh, Everyone that's kind of gone through there that's wanted to stay in production, everyone's done really well, and as can all go back to Yes Network as being that launch pad.
Which is awesome that
Absolutely.
you guys got your start at a fairly major network. I know maybe across the country it's
Regional,
not, but as far as right, right, right. And as far as like the tri-state area goes, I mean, pretty
Yeah.
much everybody knows about Yes Network. It is, the Yankees station predominantly. Now, you bring up a good point about that being a good launch pad to staying, in on course for work in production.
Yeah.
And so after graduation, you landed a job with ESPN doing highlights. So what that's a little bit different,
Mhm.
obviously, than being a runner. And so what did that position entail? And kind of talk about what your schedule was like too, because I don't think a lot of people know fresh out the gates what it's like when you get a job in sports media.
That's a great point, because everyone thinks that when you work in sports, oh, that's awesome, that's great, it's amazing, but you
Yeah.
don't know some of the things you're actually like either missing out on or how rough it can be in certain areas. Funny about that job though, I just applied like most people did online and almost kind of forgot about it. Then one day I realized that this is maybe 2 months after graduating. I haven't looked at my Seton Hall email in 2 months since the day I graduated. Why did I need to look at it? But I just happened to check it, and then I realized I got an ESPN email.
Yeah.
Phone call, and I was like, I thought it was like a month old. Luckily it was 2 days old. Called them. Yeah, I emailed them really quick. I was like, hey, just seeing this. Like, set up a phone interview, and then got the job. But so I almost kind of screwed myself on that one. If it worked out. But
Timing is
part of the
everything.
job highlights is, you are the person watching whatever game you're assigned,
Mhm.
and then you're logging the game for future use if anyone that needs to go back to it, and then you're picking the plays that are going to be used in that highlight, and then you're cutting the highlights per show. So whatever each producer for each show, whether it's a 7 o'clock Sports Center, 8 o'clock, or like the Scott Van Pelt show, they're gonna want certain games, and depending on what game you have, it could be a game no one cares about, or it could be Lakers versus the Nets, like that. So you have to be ready to cut 5 highlights or cut none at all. So, but my hours were 5 to 2 in the morning, so 5 p.m. to 2 in the morning, and this is Monday through Sunday.
Yep.
Excuse me, you'd work only 5 days a week, but your off days are usually maybe like Tuesday, Thursday, if you're
right.
Yep, if you're lucky.
Right.
Yeah. When I went up there, I really didn't know too many people at ESPN. I actually knew one person, and that was my roommate at the time, because he also got a job there, and I went to college with him. So luckily I did know someone, but everyone's pretty young, especially in the highlight department, and we all know where we're coming from. We're all coming out of college. We're all really young, so you make friends pretty quickly there. But outside of work, you really don't know anyone, and you only have your mornings, so you're probably only waking up at like 10 o'clock if you're an early riser, maybe 11, because you're getting up at 4 in the morning.
Yep.
So you could find yourself just doing random stuff just to pass the time by. But everyone there was really nice. I learned a lot there. Really met a lot of great people. If you went to Penn State, a lot of Penn State people worked there. That's for sure. But yeah, highlights was a little different, but you had a lot of creative possibility to creative input, because obviously you would have a highlights producer kind of guiding you, but you can again tell them, because they're not watching every game,
right?
But they would also have an understanding of what needed to be in there, what didn't, and then you're working with an editor to turn those highlights around. And it's kind of crazy, because you're taking a 2-3 hour game, depending on what sport, and you're compressing it to 30 seconds, and so you got to capture everything that happened in that game to 30 seconds. And then if you want to try and get creative, that also adds time and takes away your time. So, but I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot and kind of opened my eyes for different sports, and also made me just view sports a little differently. And it actually helped me, land a future job actually with MLB Network and cutting highlights there. So it was a great time. It was a 10-month job. I worked mainly their college football Saturdays, and then again, like you mentioned, in their highlight room.
I was going to ask, what type of training process did you go through, or what type, did they have some type of orientation or some type of guide, like a mentor with you? But like you said, you were with an editor, you were with people that you were learning from that obviously have been in the business for a few, years or so, and understood. What was the craziest? Did you just work with football, or were there any sports that you never expected to work with ESPN, because they just cover everything?
I've done pretty much every type of sports highlight.
Yeah.
Now we have the Australian Open going on right now. I was working a college football Saturday, finished my shift, and usually those shifts end pretty early sometimes. And I ran to the highlights room and to see if anyone needed help with anything. And the tennis person, she was up all day. She needed to go home and then come back. So they asked me to log a game, and then if I need to cut a highlight. It was the Novak Djokovic versus Liz Istomin match.
Oh my gosh.
2016. It was actually one of the record matches, because it went 4 hours, almost 5 hours.
Oh man.
And it was an
It's Djokovic in general. I mean,
it was also an upset because Djokovic lost.
Oh wow.
It turned out I didn't leave there. I started my day at 2-3 o'clock. I didn't get out of there till 6 in the morning. And the girl that left to go home to go get some sleep came back, and she just saw me and just started laughing, because she knew that I had. But I cut the highlight. It was a lot of fun. She helped me a lot. But when you start there, especially in highlights, you shadow someone that's been doing highlights for a couple shifts, and then you'll start. Then they'll kind of put you to some of the games that they know might not make a highlight. So you have your A's, your B's, your C's in a rundown for a show, and the A's are obviously the biggest highlights of the night. And then there's some sports or some games that just, they're not going to make the cut. You can't show everything. So
sure.
It's what some people like to call life in the Z's because they're just not going to make it. So sometimes you would cut one of those games just to get some practice in. And that's where you I think the hardest part or the biggest learning curve for cutting the highlights was not what needed to be cut. It was learning the systems, um, where everything was, where, graphics packages were, how to get graphics,
Yeah.
where to put things, where to save your work, just figuring out their system, how to talk to people, how to, log everything. It was just learning all of that technology part of it. And then once you learn that, it the flow because then you could do your job. Then you're like, okay, I know sports. I know this was a big play. I know these are the key guys for that team. So then it was kind of made it a little bit easier. But yeah, you shadowed, you worked with people. And then once they saw you were ready, you started working on games. And then
Okay.
what you did is, what games you got. I think, God, for some reason, I had to log the college football, the bowl game. It was Clemson. It was Alabama. It was a few years ago. It was 2016. Whoever was in the championship game that year. Sometimes you forget because everything meshes together.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just remember I was logging it. It's just like nonstop. My fingers were hurting after to log every little detail because people are going to use your log to like go back in time and find a key play or find something that could be really important.
Right. And now, so obviously this was great experience at ESPN, and you were there for about 10 months, and then you went over to MLB.com, right?
Yeah, so I left ESPN after my contract was up.
Right.
And then coming back, I actually first started back at Yes Network.
Okay.
Someone had put my name in for an opening for the backup graphics coordinator, and they asked me if I would be interested, and I said yes. It's a familiar place. I got to go to their studio this time, and I really love the people that work there. So I was like, absolutely, I wanted to do it. Went in, did an interview, did a couple training sessions, and ultimately got the position for the backup. And it was a lot of fun. Again, it's a different, now I was at the ballpark. Now I'm in their studios up in Stanford, and now just it's all information. You're trying to take all the information you can and create these graphics that the producers want and or that they're going to need to help tell what happened in the game or just keep the viewers informed. And graphics coordinator, your job is to get all the information for the graphic. You're not actually sometimes producing the graphic.
Mhm.
You have a graphics operator who is working the actual system and putting in all the information that you're telling them to then put out and on the show live. So it was very interesting because that was my first year was Aaron Judge's technical rookie season when he broke the home run record for a rookie. So that was an interesting year to be doing that, and had some crazy games that I had to do that he broke. I think I did the game where he broke the record. It was a 2 home run game for him, and he tied the record and broke it all in the same game. And so it was pretty hectic, like post game show, and so it's a lot of good memories from that time.
I feel like I remember being at the network that night working that game too. So I think it's funny that you mentioned that because we were both not in the same workplace anymore, Vin, but like
It was very
doing
hectic.
the same game. So again, comes full circle, which we're going to continue to get to in a second. But that's funny. I didn't know you were working that night either. So that's actually kind of funny. So that I think, and that's a good thing too, because not only were you already with people at Yes Network, that you met some people that were on field people or on site people, I should say. But now you're only broadening your network bubble, and you're also broadening your skill set by going back to a network that already had a great experience with you working there, and now you're just extending more and more, which is always great. And another lesson is like never burning a bridge. You don't know what's going to open up just because a temporary position ends or an internship ends. You just don't know what could come forward out of it. So after that and gaining that experience, you made it to MLB Network. So explain the journey of the application there and what the process was like in order for you to be there.
So again, it was kind of getting lucky, applied online. And I was actually working both at the same time. So I was working 5 days at Yes Network, and at that time I was on their Michael K show doing the graphics for that show. And then I was also working 2 days pretty much on the weekends at MLB Network in the city at the time at Chelsea Markets. So
Right.
7 days of just, graphics and using my experience from ESPN kind of helped me get the job for MLB. And at the time, we were doing a lot of different things than we're doing now, uh, highlights wise. So there was a lot. That was a bit of a tough learning curve, just getting used to the editing system again because I haven't used the system that we were using in so long. So I was getting familiar with that, and then also to what their standards were, and which they're very high
Yeah.
because we want the videos to be pristine. So it was a big learning curve, but finally got used to it, and then it becomes just kind of repetitive in a sense of where it's like, hey, I know what I have to do, but as you know with baseball, things can get interesting, and you could be doing a 2.5 hour blessing of a game that just speeds by, or you can have a 6 hour West Coast game that you're getting out of work at 6 in the morning. And
Yes, we love those.
Yes, nothing like a good Colorado hailstorm at 2 a.m. delaying us. Tarp comes on. Oh, see you guys at 5 a.m.
so, like one game I had a yes was that Yankee like 3 hour rain delay game, and then
Oh,
and then actually it was this past season, the first game of the year, second game of the year, the Dodgers went into extras. It was the longest game of regular season for them, at least maybe. I got to work at 6 in the morning, and I started at maybe like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and it was long.
brutal.
I think it's funny because I think a lot of people that are just watching at home, especially games that either go into extras or have a rain delay, I think a lot of people, just a casual fan, tends to forget that there are a lot of people that are really mad that there are extra innings or rain delay because they are still at work. And then you just, when the
Yeah.
game's over, turn your TV off and go to bed. But like,
3 more hours.
all of us are still working way past that. I think a lot of people forget that.
So remember the Dodgers from, was it
2018.
Yes, their 18 inning game.
The 18-inning game. Sure do. Sure do.
We haven't gotten that yet, but I was working for Fox. I was there at
Yeah.
I remember being up early that day for doing other shoots and other jobs that we had to get done. And then that game happened. And it was close towards the end of, wrapping up the series. And I think we were supposed to have like a wrap party that night for Fox. And it kept going, oh, we're pushing it back an hour, pushing it back.
Yep.
And they were just like, okay, guys, we're pushing it back till tomorrow night because it's not happening. Because that game did not end. It was inning after inning. And God, I think I worked 22 hours that day.
Oh my
It was
God.
that long of a day.
And the funny thing is, you were up extremely early because that was at Dodger Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's at Dodger Stadium. So it was a 7 or 8 o'clock.
That's right.
East Coast time. So that went. Oh God, what time did that end? East Coast time, like 3 or 4.
It was. I believe I was. I was there
It
with
was
another
past
colleague
midnight.
of mine. It was. I think I was texting you about that game because you were there.
It was
Yeah.
West Coast past midnight. So whenever it's past midnight and West Coast time, it's a problem.
I feel like I remember knowing that Vinny was covering that game for Fox, which we're going to transition to. But I remember texting him and just asking him how it was going and like very excited for him and just, let me know what's going on and what you're getting involved in. But I remember by I think it was like the 13th inning, I had texted him. I knew being a part of a production staff before that those camera crews are right by the field, ready to storm the field the minute the walk-off happens, whether it was Dodgers, if it would have been a walk-off, or whoever's winning, you're making sure you're catching that shot and you're getting those images. And by the 13th inning, it's like, all right, wrap it up. Here we go. And by the 15th inning, I feel like I texted Vin and said, hey, I'm going to take a nap because we're still going to be here. So can you text me and call me when this finally ends? And 3 innings later, finally, I think it was Max Muncy that hit the walk-off, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Muncy.
I think what people don't realize also, the camera guys, they have it the worst because they have to be ready not only during the game, but in between innings. They're still capturing shots for the TV truck to use. So they're not eating, they're not drinking. So at different times you need go back to the runners to like come bring
Yep.
something because they need something to keep them up one and keep them going. And it's rough on some of the crews. Those games are long games, and those camera guys, especially the ones that are standing, no one's
Oh,
really
yeah.
sitting. I mean, I was sitting in a camera well, which is not if you've ever been in one, it's not like a comfortable place to sit. It's not like you got a seat. Sitting on like an apple box or something for 7 hours.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
mean, you remember you were watching a baseball game, so it's not as rough. But there are some things that can be rough for us.
All right, so I want to transition us to when you started working at Fox Sports. You have done so many cool different projects for them in the last 4 years. And there's one in particular that I've been really excited to talk about. You worked on the dog show, and now I just found out somehow that Alexa was also involved, and I need to know how I can be involved because we all love dogs, but you two were working on the dog show. Tell me about what it was like working with non-human subjects.
So the dog show was actually my first job with Fox Sports. I was working with their features department. I was working with basically one producer and a camera guy, which we had to go around and capture. At the time, they had the main show is in MSG, but everything else, the agility competitions, and this thing called Meet the Breeds, were in the Pier 45, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Off the West Side Highway. So that was like 3 or 4 days before the actual big show. Meet the Breeds is great because it's every breed you can imagine, even breeds you've never heard of. And so there's hundreds of dogs and well-trained dogs, also show quality dogs that you could just go and see. So I learned so much. And to be honest, it's kind of like going to a pageant show. The people are very proud of their dogs because some of these dogs are in the best shape. And they're worth a lot of money. These dogs, if you talk to like the breeders, and like, oh, try to going about getting one of these dogs. But yeah, it's every dog you can imagine is there, and it's the best. And it's honestly a show I love doing. I've done 3 already. Actually, it's funny because it's supposed to be this week. Right now, the dog show, it's always second week of February, but it's actually getting pushed back due to COVID reasons to June, I believe. So
Oh, wow.
Now,
it is one
Alexa,
of the most interesting shows.
what was your role in this? And you guys need to somehow incorporate me into this next dog show that you both work.
So what a lot of people do or don't know about Yes Network is that Yes Network is actually owned by Fox. So there's a lot of transition and there's a lot of crossover that comes with these certain types of jobs. So what happens is Yes Network, everyone really thinks of it as the Yankees network, but they also are the premier network for the Brooklyn Nets and the NYCFC soccer team. So with that, and Vin you did basketball and soccer as well, right?
I did. Actually, I didn't do any runner games for basketball. I did graphics in the studio.
Okay.
I did soccer games as a runner, and I worked for NYCFC for a short stint, but
okay.
But yeah, I've done those as well.
So that being said, so the reason that all ties in is because you meet not the same people that work for the Yankee games don't work for Yes and don't work for NYCFC. They're different production crews. Sometimes you'll get a couple people crossing over, but for the most part, your main staff, your production manager, and your other staffs are different. So I was fortunate where I was able to work all of those events, basketball, soccer, and just by meeting people one day, someone, we connected and someone reached out to me and said, and I thought it was a joke. Someone reached out to me and said, hey, kind of off the rails, but how would you feel about being a runner for I think it was like the they call it like the Eukanuba, like dog show or whatever it was. And I said, yeah, haha, I wish, like that would be a dream. And she's like, no, I'm serious. We need runners for the dog show. I said, what? Like, yes, I don't like, absolutely. So I didn't really know what that would entail, but I didn't care because I'm going to be around dogs all day. So my heart was racing. Vin, I don't know if we were working the same day, but I remember now when you're a production assistant or a runner for different events, the responsibilities are so different every game, every day. This particular one, our camera guys had to be on the floor a lot because you're not standing getting dogs, you're on the floor eye level with them. So a lot of these camera guys had to be on their knees and on the floor, roving around the cameras, like in the dogs' faces and stuff. So, and this was an old warehouse that it was incredible. It was an old abandoned gray warehouse, completely just bland. And the night before, they're painting all the purple and gold colors on the wall. It looked like it looked like a totally different building. Yeah. You know what I'm talking? Remember like what I'm talking about?
You don't realize it's an old, like possibly condemned building, but they cleaned it up pretty nicely.
They make it look like this palace. It's incredible what they do. And so my production manager said to me, hey, I need you to take the truck. You need to go to a sports store and find a bunch of knee pads and pillows for the camera guys. And I said, what? Like, oh, okay. And she said, no, just find like a Modell's or find a Dick's Sporting Goods, whatever, just go. She tosses me the keys to an Escalade. My first time driving this massive boat Escalade in New York City. It was the most terrifying experience.
Oh my God, my anxiety.
That's one of my favorite things about this is that you get asked to grab the most ridiculous things and also get asked to do the most ridiculous things. Like I've done things I never thought I'd be doing or going to buy, and it happened. It's some weird requests.
And to them, it was the funniest thing is now that we look back, that's something now that we're like, yeah, of course, like we need these ridiculous props and things. But they said it so nonchalantly that you're sitting there like, what is happening right now? And you go, and you just go. You don't even like, you question your sanity for a second, and then you just something clicks and you just go. So I somehow maneuvered back. I bring the knee pads. I bring anything I could find. And the show must go on. So the show went on, and all these dogs were there. And it like Vin said, it is a very advanced professional atmosphere. Yeah. It's a lot of businesses and a lot of it's not just the dogs and the owners that you're seeing. There are so many vendors and doctors and all these people that are involved. Anything you could think of that has to do with a dog or animal awareness is present. So it's a very cool experience and a good example of that Fox or television sports events aren't just sports.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And now switching gears back to people sports, you have gotten to work as a field producer for the MLB postseason because Fox does a lot of their games. And obviously now you've gotten to do the last three, and this year was obviously very different from years past because of the bubble system and everything like that. So for you, what does a normal postseason look like versus this year having to work in the bubble where, you obviously face different challenges that you probably didn't see in years past?
So it's so funny because 3 years, my job has not changed, but it's gotten a little crazier every time. The first year, I was just supposed to be the features PA. My job was to, we had 2 DPs, which is director of photography. They're 2 camera guys who, calling them a camera guy is kind of not doing them justice. But they shoot every interview, portraits, anything features-esque they're shooting. And my job was basically to help them get where they had to go, help them with their gear, get their gear where it had to go, and that includes going from city to city. So we're in Boston, we're done in Boston, got to help them pack up, get it to the plane to make sure it gets to the right shipping people to then get sent to LA, and then get it off the plane or pick it up from the shipping company and then get it organized for them so they can get back to work. That, and then also help the producers with, going to run out and, crew needs food, or we need props, or any little thing. So the first year was kind of that, but I kind of learned my way around equipment more and the cameras and stuff. So by the second year, I was kind of, trusted with doing more camera wise. And then two of the guys actually handed me a camera and said, here, go shoot some stuff, or can you, just maintain focus on this camera for this interview?
Yeah.
And so that kind of started that year. And then this past year, because I knew so many different things and could do a few different things, my producer called me, is like, hey, we can't have a lot of people in the bubble. So I need someone kind of like you that could do a bunch of different things. And so we can get the show going the same way. So it was a week in the bubble in Texas before any games to quarantine. And then it was right to it. We had a crew come and build our main sets in kind of so it was in Texas's new ballpark, not even the old one.
Yeah.
Have like the big luxury suite. I think it was Lexus Lounge, and it's huge. And we took over the whole place. We had a production truck, lighting and grip truck, just empty out in there. We have our sets. Now we run 3 sets, and the 3 sets break down. It's the portrait sets, which if you're seeing a broadcast, it's usually like the player with like a bunch of lights behind them. They're just kind of like walking and like slow-mo. These are just little key elements for shows. And that's the portrait set. Then there's like a fun interview set we do where they're kind of just like laughing the camera, maybe you ask them a couple questions, or they're feeding lines back and forth. And then there's an interview set where it's more serious tone, and those interviews get played on the pregame shows and stuff of that nature. And we had to do all 3 of those sets. Now it was me, another producer, and then those 2 camera guys. So it was just us 4. So we basically had to light the sets and then, run everything. So one camera guy and producer would be on the main set, and then me and another camera guy worked the 2 other sets, the 2 interview sets. So that one obviously you need audio, and there's usually 2 dedicated audio people separate for each set. We don't have that. We usually have 30 people for these type of sets for these days. It was just us 4. So we would interview them on one set, and then take the camera off, take the audio gear off, run to the other set, sit them down, plug audio in, set the camera up, fix any lighting we had to tweak. And then also there's another camera there, so we were shooting 2 angles. So, and then ask them the question. So basically I was asking questions while recording the audio and holding a second camera just to do these interviews. And it was very stressful. Some hiccups along the way, but the last thing you want to do is make a mistake when you have Mookie Betts or someone standing there, which, things happen. So, but we did fairly well with, as crazy it was. I never really did audio before. I only knew a little bit about it. And that was kind of my first, test of doing it, and some test really, thrown into the fire there. But it was very interesting being in the bubble and having to follow all these procedures, and then what we could do, what we couldn't do anymore, because we were the only ones that really allowed to be in contact with the players, and being that it was the Dodgers, we've worked with them for a few seasons now, being in the playoffs as much as they have. So they recognize us at a certain point. And then you're in the ball with them and their family. So it becomes like, you see each other all the time, which was also very odd to be in that situation.
Like you said, there are normally crews of 30 people there. There are normally so many hands on deck because there's just so much to cover and going on that, and this is just sometimes for just a regular series coverage. We're not talking like even playoffs or World Series.
Yeah. Simplest shoot, you have multiple people. You have a runner, you have the camera guy, the audio person, you have the camera assistant, you have the main producer, you have an editor who may be on site, you have all these people doing all these jobs. Grip and lighting, those are sometimes 3-4 people.
Yep.
Depending on how big and intricate the set is, then if your set has any intricate lighting, that's a separate guy for that. So you can the numbers quickly rack up on how many people are actually working on one set for sometimes 30 seconds of a piece that's going on. It's not.
And that's just a normal setting. Like that would be pre-COVID. That is what that was like. So
Yeah.
that's what I remember. So for you,
Stylists, makeup artists,
yeah, oh, big time. Yeah. And so many people go into play. So for you to just explain all of that and knowing that how big those crews normally are pre-COVID, before all of this, for you to tell me that it was 4 of you doing World Series coverage, the biggest event in baseball every year, with the Dodgers, especially because that's just another production in itself. LA production is just a whole nother level. But covering World Series as a whole, I mean, were you intimidated? It's okay to talk about it because I think it's important that people know, like they see the human element here. Like, were you nervous? Were there things that you recognize, like you slipped up on? What was there any moments for you that you just kind of panicked? And how did you recover from that?
Oh, absolutely. There was a million of them. I was nervous the whole time because I know just as a PA, like what I need to do to make sure the next guy, because that's the thing, even though you're a PA, sometimes the lowest level, just if you're helping to where the next person doesn't have to worry about that, you're making the job easier. And then that trickles up to where then the production comes out great and everything comes out the way they want it to. But knowing that, like, hey, I don't have someone telling me, oh, Clayton or, Kike Hernandez is waiting by, or, Cody Bellinger's over here. Like, also, you got to remember, like, these guys are here to play. They're trying to get, we're getting them to come do this and taking them away from the field where they're trying to win a World Series. So
right.
You're trying to get them in and out as quick as possible. You don't want to hold them up. And, so it's sometimes picking and choosing your battles of like, okay, who do we need to get on which set's more important. Also, even the questions, because I was also working, there's producers on the outside of the bubble who they're putting all these pieces together. Now you're asking all these questions and stuff, and you may have one guy answer 10 questions. Now these 2 questions are for this piece, these 2 questions are for this piece, and there's like pieces sometimes coming out of these.
Yep.
So you may have to skip this guy on this piece or on this question because you really want to make sure he gets this question first. So it's picking and choosing, what do we need more of, and then constant communication with those producers. And you're trying to do all this, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta do audio too, and okay, make sure this shot's good because they might need to use this shot for something, and it's really hectic because you're trying to balance so many things, and it's just nonstop. From the moment the first guy walks in, you're just constantly getting more and more people. And then, you're halfway through and, a light battery went, so we got to fix that. And sometimes you don't notice. And so it can be pretty hectic. And I'm thinking about it. I'm almost starting to shake. Oh, God.
Sorry to traumatize you and bring you back.
No, because it's going to be so nice. I'd be like, did we get everything? Did the audio good? Okay. And because, again, these editors, it's unbelievable how quick these turnarounds are, because they have to be. But how quick these editors work, and not just themselves, but then the audio people are they're enhancing audio, they're the graphics, and they're enhancing video, and all these things. How intricate it is! It's really, and that's why I'm working with some of the best people in the industry, and so they can really cover it for you sometimes if you slip up or make something look good. Because you may see a piece and people are like, oh, that went really well, but like, okay, 7 things went wrong, but we were still able to salvage something together.
To me, it sounds like that really helped, not only in a weird way, motivate you to understand, okay, you know what? This is something I like. This is something I know I can handle. It's something I'm still learning every day. But ultimately, do you think that's what, I guess, maybe motivated you or pushed you to start Paolella Productions? And can you start and tell us a little bit about that, which is your new baby and project that started in the beginning of February 2020?
Yeah, I know. Great timing to start your own company. So absolutely. So the 2 camera guys I worked there at Fox, names Brandon Savory and Tom Wells, they became kind of like my mentors, just because I was always with them, 1, and 2, I'm just always watching what they're doing. I'm staring at their monitors while they're recording. And when they put a camera back in my hand, I got that itch again to shoot and be creative, and got to get those juices flowing again. and I forgot how much I loved it. So again, you're always changing because you find your passions as you're doing the work, and you're always maybe finding something else. Like, you never knew if you wanted to be a segment producer, but I really enjoyed doing it. But I also love being a field producer and stuff. So that's where I guess the freelance part has been so great, is because I've done so many jobs. I'm still doing so many different jobs that I'm learning every little thing that I love to do. But putting the camera back in my hand, that was where it really all kind of started. Because then as soon as the second World Series ended, I literally took that paycheck and I bought a camera and everything. I had a regular DSLR camera that I was using, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. So I bought the camera and formed the business, and I've been shooting a lot of promotional stuff for small businesses. One of which you can mention is Ani Ramos Catching Academy, where I did a nice little
Woo! Shout out.
It's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed doing it so much and shooting, but absolutely having all that experience there and seeing what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy made me kind of put my foot forward and start this business.
I will say, and then I got to give you a shout out, all jokes aside, like on a professional level, Don's, it's no joke. Vin, last year, 2019, 2020, we did that shoot? 2020. Okay. I know last year is a blur for us all, as you know.
It was honestly, it wasn't that long ago. Maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. It feels a lot longer, but it wasn't that long ago.
The shoot, wait, oh, you know what? Yeah. The shoot that we did for the commercial for Ani Ramos Catching Academy.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago.
Gosh, that feels like forever.
When you posted the video, it was maybe like a week or two before it.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Right before, that's right. And it was so, now I knew Vin's talent, and I knew the things that Vin had been around, and he had just started this production company, and he came to me and said, like, he was the one that suggested this video, or to just, hey, I want to shoot some different things and work with some different things. And I just thought, like, wow, that is so incredibly nice. Like, yeah, that would be amazing for my dad and for the guys to see his business. And when I tell you and I think this is important to talk about, that the equipment that these guys use is so important. Not only is it important, but it's an investment. This is not cheap stuff we're talking about. And what people don't realize is that they think if you work for Fox or you work for MLB, you get these cameras, everything's just given to you. Sometimes they do provide the equipment, but these are things that I learned as a field producer. A lot of the wires, things you don't even think about, a lot of the wires, the lenses, the crates. Vin, you probably have this stuff in this room right now, all behind you, right?
Yeah, this is kind of like my own studio. I just pulled this is a battery.
Bring out the props.
For my camera.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we gotta talk about this stuff, because this is no joke.
I got 4 of these with a charger. It was like a few $100s. It's not like
that's just batteries. That's not even the camera.
Camera equipment is very expensive, and most of these guys are freelancers. They don't work for the company because it is expensive, and they get paid for their gear and their time. So my first job at Fox, one of the first things I had to do was the DP had these camera lenses lent to him by a company. And there's these really specialized lenses. Now, there was only 3 lenses. They were worth, all of them combined, around $300,000, maybe more. So my job was to make sure they're taken care of. They were sent to us in not the greatest packaging. So I literally had to go to Home Depot, go buy like a tote with foam pad, and kind of create my own case for them, and make sure they got everywhere safely, that they're always taken care of, because again, they're borrowed, they have to go back. And I remember one of the shippings got lost. They got like left on the plane when we landed, because we charter a plane everywhere we go for Fox, because you're traveling with a crew of over 100 people. It's not like small crews. It's literally 120, 140 people crews. So we traveled with it. It didn't make it to where it had to go. So it was like, I started getting so nervous when thinking like, I lost $300,000 lenses my first year.
Oh my gosh.
You know what?
Oh my gosh.
My first time, I'm going to just enjoy this and then never working again. So luckily we got it back and everything was fine. But this stuff is no joke. And again, I'm helping someone with his equipment, his personal equipment. Right. So you have to be extremely careful, because this stuff is not easy to replace. And like you said, the simplest things like a memory card, there is like $200-$300, just the memory card, not the rest. And you haven't even started with so many little things that you have to, in order to build these cameras, how much it all costs.
And you know what's crazy, Vin, as a runner, because as a runner, you work, I mean, both of us definitely with Yes Network and the Yankees, we are working with these camera guys that are freelancers that are using their own equipment and crew. And you don't think about, like, when they hand you a card, a memory card, or they hand you a slate, you're not thinking about like, oh, this is a lot of money and it's their personal item. You're just thinking, let me get this little whatever machine back to the truck, back home.
It.
And at first, I never realized, of course, I had everything done, but some cameramen were extremely particular, like put it back in the case, wipe it down, make sure it's okay, put it right back in the slot.
Like, you have to be careful with everything.
Oh my goodness. And I thought they were being a little, like, over exaggerate, like, all right, relax. Like, but no, then you get older, and then now then you're in their shoes in a way. So now you're understanding, you're seeing the flip side of it. And it was only a couple of years ago. It's not like this was 10, 20 years ago. So how, like, it must just be a very crazy transition for you to see. But sometimes I look back and it really makes me appreciate starting there and understanding what so many people do now and why. Like, it just, it
takes a long time to build up your gear too. Cause again, a lot of these shoots, you're also renting gear for these shoots to go on and needing every little thing. A camera guy you hire is not going to have everything you need. You're going to hire a grip and lighting crew to bring all this gear. You're going to hire a camera crew, an audio guy to bring all these things.
Yes.
And then even when you have a camera guy coming in, hey, you still need this, and that, because the equipment's so expensive that no one's just going to own this because it's so expensive. Cameras, a great cinema camera, they can start at, like, the Highline ones. They start at like 20, 30,000, and they go all the way up to, like, over 100,000. So people are literally taking mortgages out pretty much to have these cameras and use them. So you want to be very careful with them, and they're putting them sometimes in dangerous situations. I've been on process trailers, which is basically a truck with a crane, so you can follow another truck around and shoot while going 40 miles an hour.
Yep.
I've seen the guy I worked with is on a boat in Miami, hanging on the side of it while filming. So granted, I've seen items get damaged, and it's always heartbreaking, but it is insane on how much all this costs sometimes. But it's worth it because you get these productions out of it.
Right. Now, to wrap up, we're gonna end the episode in kind of a new fun segment we're gonna try out. So it's gonna be, for you personally, it's gonna be Seton Hall related. We're gonna do a little rapid fire this or that game. So Alexa has some questions that hopefully you make your Pirates proud, and we'll see how well you do. She's got some pretty good questions. So Alexa,
trying to cheat here with this sheet behind me, but
I was gonna say
a little difficulty.
Yep. Whenever you're ready to start him with these questions, I'm excited to hear his answers.
So Seton Hall fans, you'll be proud. I cannot take full credit here. I had a couple friends help me out here with some Seton Hall specific questions, and I thank them very much. They know who they are. I never reveal my sources, but they helped me out, and I needed to make this right for you, Vin, because I know that Vin is a very still loyal Pirate, and I wanted these to be fun. And for Seton Hall people watching, you'll enjoy these as well, I think. So we're going to start it off with just two very basic things that as a Seton Hall student, you should know. I hope you know, Vin. I'm going to grill you if you don't. And then we're going to do a little this or that fun for you. All right?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So let's start it off. What is Seton Hall's motto?
Hazards that forward.
Woo!
Hot start. 1 for 1, baby. All right, let's go. Now let's get a little tricky here. Vin, can you tell me the legend or urban myth of the seal?
So if you step on the seal before you graduate, it's supposed to be bad luck and you won't graduate. Fun fact, I have stepped on the seal. It was like a month into going to school there. It's a beautiful day out. We're walking. I'm with my friends. They see me about to do it. I'm standing by them. And they just let it happen. And I just, So in order to break the curse, you have to run from the seal to the pirate foot. There's a pirate statue out front of the gymnasium. And you have to run from there to there. And I forgot how much time. And you have to like rub the foot in order to like break it. So yeah, it's a thing. And then so one of the things everyone does is after they graduate, you stand on the seal and take pictures. So
okay. All right. I was gonna say I didn't know there was a reverse to the curse. This is good to know.
To the curse, yes.
This is good to know. While I did not attend Seton Hall, the many friends that I had were very, very
adamant,
superstitious and adamant that I did not touch that seal. And I am not gonna lie to you. We will get to this in a second, but during basketball season, I was hoping some curse on Seton Hall so my Scarlet Knights could rise. So I was tempted to step on that seal.
It didn't work.
We'll get there, Vin. Okay. All right. Let's go to this or that.
These got to be
Vin. Rapid fire.
All right.
No hesitation. I want your first gut instinct. You ready for it?
Got it.
Don's, we ready?
Let's go.
All right. Vin's, we're going to start you off strong. Ready, babe? Study on the green or Club Walsh?
The green.
Would you rather sing karaoke or recite a poem in the Pirates Cove?
Recite a poem.
Ooh, okay. Are we hashtag Team Boland or are we hashtag Team Aquinas?
Oh, Team Boland. three South to be specific.
Shout out, 3 South. Hot bagels or Miss Virginia's breakfast sandwich?
Oh, that's so rough.
Ooh, we got spicy now.
I've had it more. Hot bagels because
What's your order?
Thank you, Don.
Salt, pepper, ketchup on everything bagel. Well, bacon, egg, and cheese, obviously.
Okay, I was gonna go sausage, bacon. Where we lean in?
Yeah, Taylor ham. Excuse me.
Can we just all say it is Taylor ham?
It is Taylor.
Nope, it's pork. But we're wrapping up, so we really can't get. We'll get into this. This is a discussion for another day.
Yeah, wow. All right. Don, so we were cool until there. Okay.
Oh, man.
Campus Dunkin' or South Orange Starbucks?
South Orange Starbucks.
Ooh. Pirate Gold or Pirate Bucks?
Ooh, I've used both. Pirate Gold.
Woo. Would you rather hang out with the Seton Hall Pirate on the green or T-Pain off campus?
Fun fact, I've hung out with both of them off campus.
Oh, my God.
I knew 2 of the Seton Hall Pirates, so.
Yes. Thursdays at Above or Tuesdays dollar beers at Green Rock?
The answer is neither. It's Thursdays at Friday nights at apartment 6.
Ooh, that is my follow-up question. But wait, Vin, it gets better. Are we partying at freshman year's golf house or are we doing junior year apartment 6?
Junior year apartment 6.
All right. Would you rather attend Groove Boston or a $5 Usher concert you won tickets to?
$5 Usher concert while playing games on the way there.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Taking it back to the Pirate TV network days.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather work a fall soccer game in the rain or a softball doubleheader on a Saturday?
Ooh. Soccer game in the rain.
Woo! Wow.
There's a clock. There's a clock, people. You learn this in production very quickly.
That's fair.
Right. That's fair.
I understand that.
Bigger rival, Rutgers or Villanova?
Villanova because they're good, so it's actually a rival. We actually have
Sorry. Have we watched the standings?
Alexa's
lately?
about to end this right now.
I'm gonna let my bias go and be professional. On camera, then we're gonna have some words. Okay. Speaking of the beloved Pirates, Vin, are we going Isaiah Whitehead or Miles Powell?
Miles Powell, Jersey boy.
Ooh. And then finally, a little fun music. I hope this works. I hope I get this in time.
Should I just do it now?
Oh yeah, you could do it now, but you gotta. He knew where I was going. For the fans, our
For the
three that are
fans.
watching, we love you. We have to play the music so that they understand what exactly that is. Give it a second. Is it the Onward Setonia?
And you're off.
Or the Hoist the Colors?
Oh, it's always Hoist the Colors. It's Hoist the Colors.
Go ahead, Vin. Give us a little something.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to Hoist the Colors.
Yes.
I cannot wait to actually be in Prudential again, hoisting the colors.
Love that. I think that's the perfect way to end the podcast. So, Vin, thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast. You are
you guys
absolutely wonderful. So I'm sure we'll have to, after those Rutgers comments.
That Rutgers comment.
You and Alexa might have to exchange some words.
Yeah,
we might have to go toe to toe. I mean, we could just look at the standings the last couple of years, but I'm not going to brag.
Yeah, okay.
Then no, it truly was a pleasure. This was incredible. Thank you for joining us. It means a lot to us. Real quick, for those that are watching that may be interested in learning more about your production company, getting in contact with you if they were inspired by anything you said, can you share some information about your production company, how to find it, and also maybe where to find you on Instagram or social media for any further questions?
Yeah, so you can go to my website for my company is paolellaproductions.com, which I'm sure you will have to put a link because you won't know that.
Of course.
We will.
Yeah,
we will
if there's any ever questions, I'm always glad to help someone else out because, as you guys may know, in this industry, people are very helpful and very nice, and they're always passing it along down to the next group of people. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without so many different people just giving me advice, helping me, teaching me things. So it absolutely
awesome.
Thanks so much, Vin.
No, thank you, appreciate it.
All right, everybody, well, I hope you enjoyed our podcast with Vin. He's one of the all-time bests. What an exciting time for us to speak to him, get to know his career. And for any Seton Hall alumni or fan out there, I hope you enjoyed our little new segment. We're going to try to bring something like that with every guest we have moving forward, trying to just be innovative and try something new. But like we mentioned towards the end of the podcast, we will be adding Vin's website link to Paolella Productions. Please make sure you check them out on Instagram. You check out his website. He's got some incredible content that he's created. He does photo shoots, video shoots, you name it, he does it. Very creative, brilliant mind. And we'll also link his personal accounts if you want to get in touch with him directly. And Don, I got to tell you, one thing that I think has been great is that people have given us so much great feedback and just ideas they may have for us. So what do you think the best way for people to continue doing that would be?
Definitely reach out to us on our socials, YouTube. You can get us wherever podcasts are streamed. And you can find, usually if you search Chasing Upstairs, it'll come up that way. Or if you want to use our Instagram, we usually put the links in our bio. And if you or somebody that works in the sports world, the media world, anybody really who might be interested in sitting down and chatting with us, feel free to contact us at chasingupstairs@gmail.com. And we'd be happy to have you on the podcast, and we have a little fun and learn a little something about you, and so you're able to find us pretty much anywhere. We've made ourselves pretty available.
We're pretty accessible here. But I think that's great. And I think that if hopefully anyone out there that is inspired by this or knows someone that has a great behind the scenes story or a job that not a lot of people know about and is involved, not just Sports, yes, sports media is our forte, but any type of media, whether it's news, whether it's entertainment, music, the more exposure we can get to this world, the better. So, any suggestions, please feel free to reach out, let us know, send our information their way, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's show.